Financial skill set with crucial knowledge and tactics and easy to follow answers to all your essential money questions. And now, your host, certified financial planner, ordained minister, multi-published author, and president of Aspire Financial Advisors, John Harrison.
Hello, welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm John F. Harrison, your host, and in this episode, we want to continue with a thought we began last episode. We were talking about schemes, scams, and financial self-defense in the last episode, and I ended by saying there's one particular scheme that is far and away worse than all the other ones. It's worse than all the phony investment newsletters, the free seminar scams, the get-rich-quick schemes that are promoted on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. This is a big one, and this one is going to be controversial. This one, I'm talking about MLMs, multi-level marketing. Now, whether they call themselves that, or network marketing, or direct marketing, or party plans, they're all the same thing, and in my opinion, they do the same things. They deceive people, they set them up for failure, they split families from each other, they split friends from each other, they destroy churches, all of these things. We're going to talk about what they are, how they work, and why they're so bad for you. And that's all coming up right after this short break.
People say I've got a great smile. Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
Welcome back to The Bottom Line, and in this episode, we're talking about multi-level marketing. Now, why, to start with, did I say it's a bigger scheme, a bigger scam than all the other ones that we talked about in the last episode? It's because more than 18 million Americans are involved in them. Far more than get taken by any of the other things, probably more combined. 18 million Americans are involved in MLMs, and they are largely vulnerable populations. They tend to prey on people who are lonely and bored, stay-at-home moms, for instance. If you've got a new baby, it's suddenly a little lonelier than it was when you were out in the working world. They prey on immigrant communities. They prey on anybody with a large national market, people who know a lot of similar people, whether it's an immigrant community or members of a church. They prey on those sort of people, and they get a lot of them. But what's wrong with them? They're always presented so glowingly, and maybe you've got a friend or five on Facebook who are always posting about how their wonderful network marketing thing has changed their life. It could be, multivitamins, it could be water filters, it could be makeup and beauty aids, it could be household goods and cleaning supplies, it could be any number of things sold direct this way. So what's the problem? I'll give you a few, and they're in no particular order. Number one, everyone who gets involved has to make an initial investment in the product that they're going to sell and in some sort of startup kit, training kit kind of thing for new distributors. And the people who are your upline, because uplines and downlines are the whole thing with multi-level marketing. You get recruited, and then you recruit somebody, and they're your downline, and then the person you recruited recruits somebody, and that person recruits somebody, and so on, until you have 5 or 6 levels of people downstream from you. Likewise, you have 5 or 6 levels of people upstream from you. And when you make your initial purchase of the company's product, and when you pay for your starter kit, all the people upline from you get a commission on the money you just spent to come work there. Now, in my opinion, real jobs don't charge people to come work there, and certainly no series of people get a commission on the money you spend to start up your new gig. So it's just a little bit fishy right off the bat that one of the significant sources of income for the MLM is the fees and purchases of the new people they just recruited to work for them. Number 2, deception. You get told that you're your own boss, you have your own business, but you don't. Your business card with the MLM does not say president or CEO. It says rep or product specialist or distributor or maybe area manager. If you owned your own business, you could change the name of that business. You could change where the headquarters of that business is. You could decide what products would be sold and how they would be priced, what the refund policy would be. With an MLM, you get to choose none of those things. That's decided at corporate. You are not a business owner. You are an independent rep. You are an independent contractor. You're a sales rep with no salary, no draw against commission, and no benefits. But a business owner does not have someone, for instance, monitoring his or her social media posts to make sure they're saying enough about the opportunity that the MLM represents. There's no one who can tell the business owner about mandatory meetings and mandatory Zoom calls. And there's no one who can assign motivational books that must be read. If you've got those things happening in your opportunity, you're not really the owner of a business. You're simply an unpaid sales rep. Point 3, the goal of recruiting is primarily what it's about. If you look at a regular company, Ford Motor Company is primarily about selling cars, not primarily about recruiting more people to sell them. MLMs, it's always recruit, build your downline, that's where the money is. Businesses, legit businesses, just don't want endless hires. Every hire they have has to contribute something to the mission and the bottom line of the company, otherwise they're just an expense. With MLM, you're not an expense to the company, you're a source of income as they keep encouraging you to buy more product, live the lifestyle, etc., etc. So it's always recruit, and you're getting starter kit commissions from all the people that you recruit. There's a couple of problems with this recruiting. Number 1, the goal is to make money for not doing anything. The goal is to make money on the activities of other people. God told Adam, by the sweat of thy brow shalt thou eat bread all the days of your life. MLM wants to tell you that you're going to eat bread off the sweat of somebody else's brow. They'll do all the work. You'll sit on the beach managing your business on the phone, and you just get all this passive residual income for not doing anything. To me, the motive itself is bad. But what happens? You do all this recruiting. You're recruiting your own competition because ultimately somebody has to sell something to an end user who's not in the system, in the network. So you're recruiting your own competition, and the market gets saturated so that it cannot work after so many generations of downline. Let's say, for instance, that the MLM starts with 10 people, and they each recruit 10 people, and then they each recruit 10 people, and so on and so forth. Follow that through 7 generations, and the network is larger than the population of the United States. The network is 1 billion people. It's 3 times the size of the country's population of men, women, and children. So it's mathematically impossible to keep this thing growing forever, but it's predicated on making the original founders and the first generation or two of recruits very wealthy, because the huge downline is paying fees and buying product, and no one is really selling to an end user. End users, if there are any, people outside the network who are buying the product, are being overcharged by definition. I know that's going to upset some folks, because of all the techniques that we talked about in the previous episode, one of the ones that MLM always uses is the Elijah complex. We're the only good ones. Only our food products are pure. Only our vitamins are rated at such and such. Only our facial products are made out of whatever. And you paint yourselves as the good guys, but think about this. If you can sell a product to an end user and generate from the purchase price of that product a commission for you, the seller, and an override on the person in the organization above you, and an override on the person above them, and an override for the person above them, and so on, up through all these generations, the people in your upline have added nothing of value to the end user. They didn't make the product or make it better. They didn't enhance the customer's use or enjoyment of the product. They didn't add anything to the customer's experience with your product, but there are 6 layers of people getting paid when this guy buys something. That tells you, by definition, the product is overpriced for whatever it is, no matter how it compares to the competition. If you can pay 6 layers of people for not doing anything, then you're not doing any great favors for the end buyer. And all the virtue signaling about how we're the best and we're the only completely ignores that fact. You're overcharging a customer if you can pay all these layers of people who aren't doing anything that adds to the customer's enjoyment or experience of the product. But here's the big one. Maybe none of those things by themselves convince you, or maybe like most people you tell yourself, but ours is different. All those other MLMs are like that. All those other network marketing programs or direct marketing programs are like that, but not ours. Here's the thing that should move you. 99+% of participants lose money. You sign up, you buy your starter kit, you buy your initial product, you become an evangelist to everybody you know in your family, your friends, your neighbors, and those who follow you on social media. You become just like, you remember when, if you're a Christian, do you remember when you were a new convert and you were excited and your zeal maybe exceeded your wisdom a little bit? And very soon you found that you were putting a lot of people off the gospel message because you just sort of hounded them. You were excited, your motives were good, but they didn't want to hear it. There are lots of people with causes who do that. Remember the old joke about how do you tell someone's a vegan? You won't have to, they'll tell you. It's like that with MLM. Your goal in life now becomes to pester everyone you've ever met, or message people on social media that you haven't seen since high school, but now you want to tell them about a business opportunity that will be perfect for them. You are irritating them no end as an evangelist. And you do this for a while, and everybody else who gets enrolled does this for a while, and 99% of them lose money. That is not speculation. Every MLM is required by federal law to publish a disclosure that shows how much their reps and distributors make. And you will find almost without fail that 99% lose more money than they take in. That doesn't sound like a great business opportunity to me. But there's more, and after we pay a few bills, we'll come back and tell you the rest on the other side.
Hey folks, this is St. Clair Mitchell. I'm the lead pastor at Evangel Assembly here in Temple Hills, Maryland, and we're located at the Kingdom Embassy. That's at 5900 Old Branch Avenue in Temple Hills, and Anacostia International at 1716 V Street. I'm here to inform you about a new program that will be coming to the New England Christian Television Network, and it'll be called Kingdom Connection. And so you will hear my voice connecting you to the kingdom of God through prayer, inspiration, and information. My friend, this is Kingdom Connection. Whenever you hear those words, that will be the warning that our program is about to be aired on this television station. I want to thank you for joining us. You will be informed about the times when the program will be on. And I look forward to sharing with you. Our program is based on Matthew chapter 6 and verse 33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Here we start at 6 o'clock and we end at 33 minutes after 6. Matthew 6:33. And I think it will be aired at the same time on the New England Christian Television Network. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to your participation, your feedback, and your partnership as together we seek to not replace God, but to represent him. Thank you so much.
So before the break, we were saying that it's an established fact, one you can verify, that whatever an MLM or a direct marketing program or a network marketing program or a party plan program, whatever it's called, it's all multi-level. Whatever they're selling, 99% of the people who are enrolled lose money. You can look in their own disclosure documents and see this. That doesn't mean that the other 1% are getting rich. Now, the flyers and the video ads all suggest that people are making money hand over fist. But among those who make money, among the 1% who don't spend more than they earn, most of them don't earn what amounts to a full-time job at minimum wage. And there's a fraction of 1%, point something of 1%, who are making quite a bit of money. And those are the people who got in earlier, or at the top of the pyramid, so to speak, and are reaping lots of money because there are hundreds and hundreds of people downline from them buying product and paying fees. But that in and of itself is not the worst thing about it to me, the fact that you're almost destined to fail. It's that they use cult-like tactics to manipulate you at every level. I mentioned earlier that they often prey on the vulnerable, and that's something that cults do, whether they're looking for lonely military wives or bored stay-at-home moms. The vast majority of MLM participants are women, and most of the products are things aimed at women, like makeup and things. Or they're immigrant communities who maybe don't know how the economic system works in this country. They go after the vulnerable. That's something you'll see with cults. And then they use something called love bombing. I can probably explain that better with a story. Many, many years ago, my wife and I had moved to a new town, and we were getting stuff out of our car in our brand new apartment, and these three women who turned out to be neighbors came over. And they smiled and they introduced themselves and they welcomed us to the location, and they told us how glad they were to have us and that we could stop by any time for cheese and crackers or coffee and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when they finally walked away, I turned to my wife and I said, either those are the three friendliest women on planet Earth, or they are members of, and I inserted the name of a particular church that was famous for love bombing. It turns out they were members of that church, and they spent the next 6 weeks inviting us to their church's Bible talks, and when we indicated that we were from a different branch of the denominational tree and weren't really interested, then all that come by for cheese and crackers and coffee vanished, and they were on to their next potential recruit, their next target. They had a quota to fill. And MLMs do much the same thing. You'll be invited to a meeting, and everybody will welcome you and be so friendly and tell you how you're going to do great at this, and you will feel like you just made a dozen new friends. and they'll support you and they'll encourage you, and they're involved in the same things that you're doing. It's a community. It's great, and it will last until the day that you leave, and those people will drop you like a bad habit because they were not your friends to begin with. It's all part of the conditioning. That social acceptance, that perceived love is addicting. And as time goes by, you'll do anything to keep it. You will put up with unreasonable demands. You will put up with whatever because you don't want to lose the approval of the group. And that's just a cult tactic. They will use hype sessions to keep you emotionally charged up. Half of the meetings are about rah-rah. It's showing somebody winning a car. It's about a worshipful and adulatory presentation of the founders. It's all this stuff to keep you emotionally super psyched, because when you're on an emotional high, you can't think clearly. You can't ask reasonable questions. You're just emotionally pumped up. And emotions are great, but they don't keep you. They just get you to push a little bit further. They get you, moving for the short term, but eventually the energy from that runs out. It blames, the next thing that's cult-like is that they blame the victims for their own failures, despite the fact that they tell you going in that 99% of the people who do this don't make money, and of the remaining 1%, a good chunk of them are barely making minimum wage. When you have results like the 99%, they blame you. You're not working hard enough. You're not doing the system right. It's your fault if you're not getting rich. And that's really a cult-like tactic, Do such and such a pose, and you'll align with the harmonies of the universe, and when it doesn't work, you did it wrong. Do this and God will fill your pockets with gold coins, and when it doesn't work, well, you didn't believe it hard enough. It's always the fault of the person who failed for failing. It's never the system. It's one of the sayings they have is there are no failures, only quitters. So when you have enough of pouring money in and taking no money out and you leave, then you're labeled a quitter, and nobody who was your former friend has time for you, and it can be very emotionally devastating for people. You will be shunned, you will be forgotten about. Now, there are literally hundreds and perhaps thousands of these systems. Off the top of my head, I can remember from years ago, Shaklee Vitamins and Herbalife is still around, and Malaluka, if that's how you say it, is still around. Amway, of course, the granddaddy of them all, is still around, although they're no longer called that. And so on and so forth. There's millions of them, and again, 18 million Americans are involved in them. But the worst thing they do, besides preying on the vulnerable and using love bombing and using hype sessions to keep you riled up and motivated, hyped up and motivated, besides turning everyone into that annoying proselytizer that you didn't want to be, and blaming you for your own failures rather than saying the system has set you up to fail, they turn you against the people who have been your friends for all of your life before this, because they train you to divide the world into those who think what you're doing is a great idea and where do I sign, and everybody else who are dream killers and wet blankets and speed bumps and weights and all these things that they will call you. They train you to demonize everybody who doesn't think this is a good idea. Cults certainly do this because they don't want you to be influenced by anybody who can make you see a side of something that you haven't seen. So someone joins, the Hare Krishnas, or someone joins Scientology, or someone joins, you name the group. They will make sure you know that if your family is not supportive of this, then you need to cut your family off. They're in your way. If your friends are not supportive of this, You need new friends. They're in your way. They're slowing your success. You need to dump everybody and not take any input from anybody who doesn't think this is great. So what it leaves you with is the only people who can tell you anything are the people above you in your upline who are profiting from what you do and from what you buy and all that sort of thing. And it leaves families fractured. It leaves friendships ruined. And when it gets into a church, here's the people who you used to see as your brothers and sisters in Christ. And now you see 3/4 of them as a problem, as false friends, as wet blankets, as dream stealers, and people that you need to avoid. And you are categorizing friends and enemies based on how they respond to this scam. And the ones who have either been there, done that, and could tell you, or the ones who just want to ask you some questions about not what do people say they're doing, but, have you seen maybe a tax return from someone who can demonstrate that they're making the kind of money that everyone talks about making, that they're having the kind of success they're portraying on their Facebook page? People who can ask you questions like that, you're being trained to cut them off. There's no legit business that requires that. People who started real companies often got resistance, often got fear from a spouse. You're going to, quit your job and start a tech firm or a yogurt manufacturer or a self-storage facility or you name it. Yeah, there can be pushback. Yes, there will be obstacles. Yes, there are downsides. Yes, you can fail. In legit businesses, something like 80% of all startups fail to make it through the first 5 years. They've gone out of business within 5 years, 80% of startup companies. So only 20% make it long term. It's legit to ask questions. It's legit to be cautious. But that 80% that don't make it is far better than any MLM setup where 99% lose money, and even of the remaining one, the majority are making something around the minimum wage, $40 a month, less than that. So be aware, MLMs are a problem. I won't call them pyramid schemes. They get around that as a technicality, but they're not there to help you, and they fall under the umbrella of schemes, scams, and things for which you will need to exercise financial self-defense. Hey, we're going to take one more break, and when we come back, we'll wrap this all up and give you a parting word. That's coming right up.
So my journey of becoming a homeowner, and I reached out to my agent, which is Mark St. Clair.
It was on the first day that we went on the showing. We saw 2 houses. It was the first one, there was tons of people in the line. Second one.
This house, when I came, the line was really down the street.
She said, Mark, this is the house that I want. Get me that house. It's a seller's market. Within the seller's market, then there are a lot of tricks that they have to use as an agent, specifically knowing the limitations of your buyers. Although we were the second highest offer, we ended up on top because of everything else that came along with the offer.
The first day walking in this house, and then I had my key going in, it feels good. If you are looking for someone to help you sell your house and buy a house, don't hesitate to just call Mark St. Clair. Thank you.
Welcome back to The Bottom Line. As a final thought, let me give you one little checkpoint. If you still have run across an idea that seems too good to be true, here's a word of caution. If you run it by a financial professional and they've never heard of it, it's probably too good to be true. I had an elderly preacher call me some years ago and asked me what I thought of the idea of a reverse pension. And I'm a certified financial planner, and I had no idea what a reverse pension was. And I Googled it and didn't see anything under reverse pension. And I called a few planners I knew, and they'd never heard of it either. It sounded like exactly what it was. A pension is something that you don't pay into, but it pays you money. A reverse pension is something you pay into, and it doesn't pay you money. And that's what happened to this poor preacher. It was just another one of those too good to be true schemes and scams. Keep your head up. Keep your eyes open. Be a little bit skeptical. If something seems too good to be true, ask a lot of questions. And if your questions don't get answered, or if asking questions is discouraged, put your hand on your wallet and run. You can make it through the minefield. All you need is a little direction for the journey. That's what we do here, and that's the bottom line.
Welcome to The Bottom Line with John Harrison.